Yeah, well, it's certainly tough for Canadian movies, especially indie movies, to get any kind of exposure anywhere.
There's a stigma.
Yeah, this is just the one thing that has always driven me in the magazine is to try and give a voice to the small films, the films that people won't notice. And I think it's especially imperative now, in this day and age where we're being inundated with like bullshit remakes, that we as horror fans need to support guys who are trying to make something exciting and original.
I agree with you 100%. And yeah, no, it's funny that I'm hearing that a lot. Like we're doing a lot of horror radio and just interviews and stuff like that, and there really seems to be a backlash against the remakes and people saying, please give us something. That's why something like Human Centipede or Long Kids, I think, is such a breath of fresh air for people.
Hopefully, these remakes are not made for horror fans. We're shut out. We're the people who have supported these films, bought the VHS, bought the DVD, bought the Blu-ray, so they remake it, and they just don't care about us.
I agree.
So it's good to see people trying to make movies for horror fans, and I think that we need to get behind this.
If anybody has any more questions, we're also going to be going across to the old spot for a beer over there. So, anybody, go ahead.
My question is, one thing that I really enjoyed about the movie is that the frightening aspect of it seems to be kind of subliminal, in a way that you show the pig farm being much scarier than the basement in a way. And I was wondering if something like that was intentional. If you guys.
Well, yeah. I mean, even while we were shooting and during editing, we realized that there's sort of a subconscious tension. I think just being in the room with. I mean, that's how it was when we were interviewing our guy too. When we went out to see our original serial killer, there was something just strange about being in the room and sitting across from a table from a guy who had actually, committed horrible acts. And I think the fact that the whole thing with the pig farm, I thought that was interesting was he's an actual pig farmer, and he's a guy who slaughters things for a living, but is the nicest guy in the world. You know what I mean? And it is that kind of good Samaritan. In the script, I think that was originally just like a couple pages where they kind of pull over and he gives him some food and a free tire. But the original cut of that sequence was like a half an hour long. He was, so proud and showing all this stuff. But it plays. I think that kind of reality sort of it helps underline the the vicious nature of the violence and all that sort of stuff. But I'm glad you liked it.
Actually, I have to say the scene that really hit me was when he visited the father of the missing girl.
No.
And he's giving a story, and he's upset. It's actually quite touching. And then, the camera pans over quickly, and there's Anthony holding the boom like that. I thought was a brilliant stroke.
Well, thanks. I mean, that was one of those things that was in the script, and people read it and gasped. And then when we shot it, we really only shot that basically almost as a rehearsal. It was a Sunday morning. We were in and out of there in an hour. And the guy who actually played the father had auditioned for us twice before for the cop and something else. He showed up the third time, and I was like introducing myself like I'd never met him. He's like, yeah, I've auditioned for you twice before. And I was like, well, this isn't going to go good if I don't even remember. I don't know who this guy is. Obviously didn't make that much of an impression, but he was amazing. And basically, I look at it as getting away with one. When you go in there for an hour and come up with that scene, and just sort of, it was strange. It was creepy to shoot. Definitely, that wasn't a lot of laughter on set that day. But he knocked it. And I think the fact that he's such a blue-collar, regular guy.
Yeah, he's really everyman.
If he was like sort of a militaristic ex-cop who was like, I'm gonna kill that, then I don't think he would have been sympathetic. The fact that he was trying to come to grips with it was, it's a pretty horrible thing. I mean, the filmmakers are really the evil guys in the movie. Right?
Well, I guess they get theirs in the end, don't they?
They will be deserved.
Okay, sorry. Over here.
I was really interested in the character, the radio host.
Yes.
And I think I remember reading that was added later on. Yeah. And just kind of the way he's played, and then at the end there's the interview with Anthony, and Anthony kind of just as you were commenting about the filmmakers, he also tries to insinuate the radio host. And I was wondering kind of what your ideas were in having that last scene over the credits, and what we're supposed to kind of think of that radio host, because obviously it's important that you included him in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, he was always in the script, but to be quite honest, we initially had an ending that was very expensive and was like a channel flipping sequence that started off with local news treating this very seriously. It was right after my character was killed, and they were talking about this discovery and horrible murders, and it kind of channel flipped around to the point where it eventually got to like Entertainment Tonight. They found these tapes, and Hollywood might be interested, and all this other sort of stuff. And for all various different reasons, people just hated our ending, so we were like, oh shit, we got no ending. We have to rethink this whole thing, and we had the radio character in there, but we just sort of retro wrote him into it in a larger sense, and really let them improvise. We gave them some talking points, and we figured, okay, if he at least confronts Anthony in a way that the filmmakers never did, and in a way I think, you know, the audience when you're watching, you're sort of waiting on some level for somebody to grab this guy by the lapels and say, what the hell are you doing? And I think that there's something, you know, sort of satisfying about that. He was amazing, and really we gave just a bunch of talking points, and they went. That whole initial argument or conversation they had was like 13 minutes, and the hardest thing to edit down. I just put the whole thing on the DVD because I was so impressed. But it was a case of like retro writing and trying to fix it because our endings are tough. I'll agree with George Lucas on that.
David, another question?
And that was my question on the script. How much of that was ad-lib? And then how much was it that, because it really had that look of that documentary with spontaneous responses to questions. And then the other question is regarding the interjection of the humor throughout. Was that part of the plan initially, or was that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we're pretty sick that way. You know, it's hard. I mean, so not all of this stuff was planned. As far as the script goes, we certainly had an overall umbrella, and we just found that if you engage actors and really say to them, look, here's where we need you to get from here to here. However you want to get there, it's okay, and really demand that they bring their own ideas to set. I mean, we were shooting on digital, obviously, so we had the luxury of, after every take, being able to say, okay, this is for the actors. You guys can do whatever you want, and it's amazing how much of that stuff ended up in the film, not in a large plot, you know, point sense, but just little lines here and there. And I'll never shoot a movie differently. You know what I mean? I think, you know, I've worked on a lot of TV shows where every time they want to change one line, they have to get the writer and the producer, and everything stops, and everybody has to, and it's stifling. It's, you know, I think when you engage an actor, and that's the difference between doing a play and doing a movie, is you can capture lightning in a bottle that way and get that spontaneous thing, and you don't have to do it, you know, for the next 6 weeks every night and do it the same way. So it was a real lesson for us, definitely, to make sure you engage the actors, and improv is the only way to go, as far as I'm concerned.
Anybody else?
Who wants a beer?
First of all, I really enjoyed the movie. I'm going to make number 2.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
What's your next movie plan, actually?
We both have a couple of projects on the go, and I'm hoping to announce mine actually in the next week. We're looking to get the financing, but we both got a couple things that we're doing, and we're going to stick with the horror genre. We love it. So, long before.
All right, thanks for coming out, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.